One of the innovative features of Falcon is OverWatch. In this scenario, we'll assume that an attacker has owned a machine in our network and is going to carry out a standard set of commands to accomplish their goals. Script-based attacks and living off the land techniques are occurring more and more since they are difficult to detect. Because no malware or specialized tools are used, these attacks often go undetected by traditional defenses and allow attackers to go unnoticed for an average of 200 days. In this demo scenario, we are going to assume that an attacker has gained access to an organization. This may be through stolen credentials, an unpatched vulnerability, or maybe just a disgruntled employee. At this point, he has access to a command prompt, and he's going to carry out a set of commands that use built-in tools to accomplish his goals. The first few commands are just reconnaissance. The user confirms that he is a standard user and would like to get admin privileges to carry out his ultimate objective. To do this, he'll run an encoded PowerShell command in memory in an attempt to avoid detection and obfuscate his intentions. The command is successful, and upon further inspection, account credentials for a user admin have been stored on this machine at some point. The attacker will then use these stolen credentials to launch PowerShell with admin privileges. The next step is for the user to establish persistence on this machine so that they can come back at a later time if needed. To do this, the attacker will use the task scheduler to create a recurring task that changes the functionality of the built-in on-screen keyboard to a command prompt. The on-screen keyboard is available to the user without logging in. This means the attacker will have access to the machine even if the admin or local user changes their passwords. Even if it's discovered that the on-screen keyboard has been replaced with a command prompt, the task scheduler will change it back every morning at 9. To create a secondary way to gain access to this machine, our attacker will create an additional user account called web admin and give that user admin rights as well. Using built-in tools and stolen credentials, our attacker has successfully compromised our organization. Stolen credentials and elevated privileges to establish persistence through both the scheduled task utility and a secondary user. The techniques are designed to evade detection by traditional AV solutions. From an attacker perspective, the only thing left to do is carry out his objectives. In this case, he's found a directory of interesting information that he'd like to steal. To do this, he's created a temporary directory. Then he'll copy the contents of that target directory using a built-in Microsoft tool to compress the files in a .cab format, a format that typically avoids detection from DLP solutions. Then, using an FTP server, he can exfiltrate that data and then delete any artifacts to avoid alerting anyone to his presence. Our attacker has done everything he can think of to avoid detection. He's used legitimate credentials, run encoded commands, and created a user account that looks official. He's even used built-in tools to avoid downloading suspicious tools that may raise unnecessary red flags. However, what our attacker hasn't counted on is Falcon. Using the Events app, we will run a single search query that will return the command history from our victim host. Within seconds, every command used on the system is displayed. We can even see that the attacker was using encoded PowerShell commands. With CrowdStrike, there truly is nowhere to hide. Falcon gives the user visibility into events on every host managed by CrowdStrike. But how would one know to look at a specific machine as closely as we just did? This is where Falcon OverWatch becomes a valuable partner in your security portfolio. The activity from this machine is highly suspicious and has caught the attention of the OverWatch team. When events like this are discovered in a customer environment, OverWatch updates the Customer Detections app with an OverWatch alert. Certain activity may also generate an email or at times a phone call. In the alert and email, the observed behavior will be outlined along with a suggested course of action, which will often include containment and steps for remediation. OverWatch is that final layer of protection that is put in place to detect the stealthiest attacks. CrowdStrike's unique capabilities not only provide the deep visibility to investigate targeted attacks, but also provides the innovation, may it be algorithm-based or human-based, to filter through the data and alert on important events. For additional information on Falcon OverWatch, go to CrowdStrike.com.